newspaper, so I did a lot of fashion shoots out there. Some of the homes on the harbor side. Yes, sir. How are you?
Mayor, can you speak again?
No.
Mayor, can you hear me?
Oh, okay.
All right, speak now, Mayor.
Okay.
That's right.
I can call you on the cell phone. For both ways.
Try it again. Test.
Test. Can you hear me? We can do it. No.
All right, I just have you on speakerphone.
Okay, good. Can you hear me now? Good. I can see you.
Okay. All right, I'm going to put you on.
All right, so we good to go? All right. We'll call the Town Council Joint Planning Session meeting to order. The time is now 6:04. Ms. Calvin, would you call the roll of Town Council, please? Present.
Here.
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 Would you call the roll call of the Planning Commission?
Present.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Cowan. Was the notification and posting of the meeting agenda posted in accordance with state law? Thank you, ma'am. All right, you have the agenda in front of you. I'm going to be looking for a motion. Our presenter could not be here today, so I'm going to be looking for a motion to take the presentation A out and postpone to a later date.
Motion to approve is amended.
We have a motion. We have a second. So we have a properly motioned and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Say that, so we'll strike that, and that's approved. So now we'll have our discussion. Let's see, y'all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and the prayer. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Y'all join me in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we just come to you this evening, Father, giving you thanks for who you are. And Father, I do thank you for the many blessings you bestow upon us. Father, I ask your hand be upon this meeting tonight. Father, I ask your presence to be here. Will you guide and direct all that we say and do? And may all that we say and do bring honor and glory to you. Father, I just lift up our first responders tonight, the men and women that are protecting this country, first responders that are protecting us right now. I just ask you to put a hedge of protection upon them. Father, for those that are still battling this COVID, I ask you to wrap them in your loving arms and help them through this sickness. Father, just be with our mayor that couldn't be here tonight, that he's joining us remotely. I ask your presence to be with him. Father, again, just guide our meeting. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, we're going to have council members' remarks, and Councilman Brock, I'm going to start off with you.
Councilman Bowman, if you want the approval of the minutes, Dean.
Oh, yes, sorry about that. So you have the minutes in front of you?
I'm sorry, the agenda. Did you approve that? We postponed it, and that vote passed. Did we approve the rest of the agenda?
Yes.
Yes. As amended. Yes.
Yep.
Yes, as amended.
Thanks.
All right, so with the council members' remarks, we're going to start off with Councilman Brock.
Thank you, Councilman Ballman. Welcome everyone here today, braving the cold and the rain to come out. It's a nice crowd today on a Monday evening. I don't really have very many remarks. I'll just say, and this is no slight to anyone in the past, but it is nice to see 7 planning commission members here for a meeting. So thank you all for what you do. It is a thankless job at times, and I just want you to know that I very much appreciate what every one of you do. Thank you. That concludes my remarks, Mr. Ballman.
Thank you, Councilman
Ballman.
I just want to welcome everybody here. Thank you, Council and Planning Commission. I want to commend y'all for the work that y'all did on the comprehensive plan. I looked over it, and man, y'all did a wonderful job, a yeoman's job, and I just thank each and every one of you. Thank all of y'all for attending tonight, and those that are attending on the video remotely, and I just thank for everybody for being here.
Thank you, sir. Good evening to everyone. I'll echo my fellow council members. Thank you guys for the hard work, guys and ladies, for the hard work on the comprehensive plan. That's going to be our guiding light for the next 10 years, and I believe that you all got it right. So I'm looking forward to continuing that process and flowing the way that the citizens gave input to this town for the next 10 years. So thank you. Just real quick, I do want to make note, I think in our last meeting, it came up about the ATATS and HTATS Zoom meeting that I'm holding tomorrow. So that is tomorrow on Zoom at 7 p.m. The objective for that meeting, if I wasn't clear enough in the last meeting, is to get the information out clear and precise to all nonprofits. Either you applied here in the past and received it, or you applied and didn't receive it, or you didn't know that you could apply. The only caveat to it is that I invited Richland County in on this process so that you can get both sides. You can get to apply for funding through Blythewood and the funding through Richland County. So that's where we're going with that tomorrow. If you don't have access to that link, see me before you leave, and I can get you access to it through Eventbrite. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Kendrick.
Thank you, Councilman Ballman. Appreciate everybody being here tonight. It's like we have a larger than normal crowd. And planning commissioners, think it's already been mentioned, all 7 planning commissioners and all 5 town council members at the meeting. That's progress. We appreciate everybody being here. Certainly appreciate planning commissioners' time to serve on the planning commission, as we do all our boards and commissions. I did want to mention some conversations I have had with both the mayor. I mentioned it to Mr. Hasterock, as well as the Blythewood Chamber of Commerce, the opportunity to possibly do a job fair for all of the Blythewood small business owners or business owners looking for employees. You see the signs all over town. I know some counties around us have done something similar, and we are going to try to endeavor to partner with the chamber and go ahead and put one on here in Blythewood. Steve said March is a better month than April as far as facilities in the town go, so that's what we'll shoot for, a date in March. So we'll have some information forthcoming to council members, business owners, and we'll, again, partner with the chamber to try to put on an event that benefits both people looking for jobs as well as people out there trying to hire employees in a very tough job market. So please look for information about that forthcoming. That's all I've got, sir.
Thank you, Councilmember Kendrick. That concludes council members' remarks. Mr. Mayor, you're on here for your remarks.
You've heard us raving about the awesome job that you all did as volunteers and working on the comprehensive plan. Personally, I'm working on managing our strategic plan objectives. We held a session many months ago to get the town on a track of accomplishing objectives that the citizens want to see and need. And we're going to merge those right into your comprehensive plan objectives to make sure we continue moving all together in the same direction with all our efforts. So I want to thank you all personally for doing that. Wonderful opportunity this past weekend to attend the Chamber of Commerce Gala. It was a great time. Recognized several small businesses. Those of you who don't know, Chubby's is the new business that took over McNulty's, and we had a grand opening and ribbon cutting for them. Very successful. And we anticipate 2 more openings in the near future. The Home 2 Suites Hotel in Blythewood and obviously the retirement complex, which is next to that as you get. Once those get scheduled, we'll let you all know so you can come out and assist us in welcoming these new businesses to town. The main point about the comprehensive plan, I know we're all talking about it, but now you've given it to us as a community, and it's our job as a town council to resource it. So you talked about what we want, where we should go, what it should look like. It's our job to reach out and resource. And I'll tell you, who's working that better than anybody right now is Councilman Sloan Griffin. He's reached out. We have asked, I wrote a letter on behalf of the town to the State House again to ask for $500,000 more. This is in addition to the ARP funding we're going to receive to get after the park security upgrades. I know that we had a small crime happen there recently. We learned today a smash and grab. Somebody had vehicles broken. Absolutely unacceptable. We're working hard at that end. Luckily, we have the new cameras in place. This should be a very easy crime to prosecute for Richland County. But the point is, bringing that back, new farmers market pavilion, new watchtower, clock tower, new splash pad for the kids, all these things are what the citizens have asked us for. Sports fields forever. And now we have an opportunity to do that. And as we move into the spring budget session, I think you'll see those priorities rise to the top. And we'll put some resources to what the citizens are asking for and get some of these things done to improve the quality of life for all our citizens here in Blythewood. And lastly, I commend Councilman McHenry for his job fair proposal. If you've been out lately, you see signs everywhere for hiring now, training, hiring first shift, whatever. But the point is that we need to assist our small businesses, which are the lifeblood of this community, to open up our doors in the manner and allow a job fair and combine a joint effort with the 2 local high schools, actually any high school for that matter, and any small businesses hiring, merge those two entities together so that we can get back on track in a post-COVID era as we see the elimination of that bad disease and all behind us, hopefully. And then we'll get kids back to work part-time, stimulating the economy again, because the more money you put in your local economy in the pockets of employees, the more they're going to spend right here at home, and that's going to benefit all of us. So with that, I appreciate it. I'd like to see an action item, Mr. Williamson, at our February meeting to approve what support we're going to give to this job fair so that as we move forward and the Chamber and Councilman McHenry lead the effort to schedule this in March, we already have an approved motion in place to resource whatever they need us to do. With that, I'll turn it back over to the town administrator for his remarks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have any comments today.
All right, thank you, Mr. Williamson. Since the presentation is no longer on the agenda, we'll go straight to our discussion item, Town of Blythewood Comprehensive Plan 2020 to 2030. Mr. Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. This is an opportunity for Town Council and Planning Commission to discuss the comprehensive plan. Its public hearing and second reading are scheduled for February 28th. It's just an opportunity to just discuss this since we have everyone here together.
Council members.
Who wants to kick off? Waiting for me? Okay. Well, we're really waiting for the formalities to be completed before we undertake any serious action on the comprehensive plan. But hearing the comments this evening, there's clearly a lot of support for the content and the direction that we've laid down in the report. And that was largely based upon input received through the survey that we carried out in the early part of 2021. That provided us with a tremendous amount of valuable information, and all of that has been incorporated into the report. Now, obviously, we didn't have 100% agreement on 100% of the things. It's the usual thing, right? You can't please all of the people all of the time, but you can try and please some of the people some of the time. And so that's the kind of line that is threaded through the entire comprehensive plan. I think I'm safe in saying that the previous comprehensive plan served us well. I think we actually achieved a fair amount of the achievable objectives in that plan over the 5 or 6 year period of the second half of that plan. So I'm encouraged. I really think this whole process of thinking about and planning for the future is a vital step to ensure that we're responding to the needs of the town. So I've said this before, but we're not at the end. We're at the beginning of a lot of work in actually developing the action plans for the individual goals and strategies that have been laid out. The priorities, I'm assuming everyone will follow the same priority plan that we've traditionally used, which is to make economic development the number one item. That would be followed by land use and zoning, and we have some very significant proposals to simplify and improve the zoning in the town. And then the third priority following that is infrastructure, which includes roads and water and communications and so on. So those will be our short-term goals, and that's clearly going to keep us very busy, both from improving the ordinances, finding the funding, to say the very least, and then the resources to put all these things into place. But if tonight's showing is anything to go by, with the town council fully on board, we've got our planning commission up to full speed now, and there's absolutely no reason why we can't make good progress. So, I'll take a moment to let that sink in, and I'd welcome any more comments, but council members have already been more than kind in their responses, but I think it just bears witness to the integrity and thought that went into the plan, and not to forget that a lot of that research was carried out by the Central Midlands Council of Government. They're tremendous partners for us and here in the town, and we really could not achieve the end result without their input. Thank you.
Council members, you've had it in your possession for about a month or so. You had any comments? Anything you want to add? Ask Chairman Gorge.
Councilman Baldwin, this can be a kind of a question for both of you. Has this, I guess, polished product been presented to the public? And if so, is there any members here that would like to comment on it?
Has it been presented to the public?
Multiple. Yeah, I'm just saying. I guess I'm asking: is there anybody in the audience? I don't see a.
I thought you were asking me.
No, not necessarily, but I don't see anything on the agenda for public comment. So I was just putting that out there.
And just so you know, the public hearing is scheduled for February 28th during second reading, but
we could take comments.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Councilman, anyone else?
I do. Obviously commend the Planning Commission for, again, the job that was done. And as we, as a council, look at recommendations that come from the Planning Commission, there are a couple on the Planning Commission's agenda for this evening. Moving forward, as we did under the previous comprehensive plan, I think it's incumbent upon us as a council to pay attention to the zoning map, the future zoning map, as we consider requests for zoning map changes. So often, we were under that old plan. That old plan was in place for a number of years, and you review it every 2 and rewrite it every 5, or is it review?
It's just a midway point. Every 5 years you do a revision, an update. So
we're looking at a 5 to a 10-year plan, and it's easy to get bogged down in the individual zoning map changes. And one thing I have strived to do, both on Planning Commission and will strive to do on Council, is drive it back to the map on the comprehensive plan. Does it fit the long-range zoning map that the COG has used a lot of data as well as input from the citizens of Blythewood to come up with that map? Will we hit the mark 100% of the time? Probably not. But if we use that as our guiding principle, what does that zoning map, what does it guide us to do? I think a lot of the work is done ahead of us if we, as a council, can just follow the comprehensive plan for our long-term growth. But I'm looking forward to putting feet to that. So thank you very much.
I appreciate those comments, Councilman McHenrick. As all of our important documents, the plan, once fully approved, will be placed on our website. The zoning map will be available on the new zoning map will be available on our website as well. It never hurts to reiterate that a tremendous amount of information is now contained there. Town of Blythewood, sc.gov. It's a tremendous archive of information, direction, and advice. That's a resource that everyone should be aware of and use as a starter before sort of putting thoughts together and asking any relevant questions. But just to kind of reiterate this kind of theme tonight about economic development and jobs, and all of that is underscored by zoning and land use. So that's definitely going to be one of our highest priorities, to get that in place. I think it will help clarify how the zoning operates, what's included in the different zoning categories, and it should be a lot easier for all of us to make decisions for new and upcoming businesses coming to the town. If there's any other questions, we'd be very glad to help them, try and provide answers, but I think that's all I can say for the moment until we've actually got the document fully approved. But it has seen numerous airings at the Planning Commission, so there shouldn't really be any surprise to anyone. It's been presented as it's gained form ever since sort of the mid-year results from the survey.
Chairman Gorge, thank you. I want to thank you and the committee for the hard work that you did, and look forward to your leadership going forward on the Planning Commission. But I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize Councilman McKendrick, too.
Indeed.
That's his driving force behind it and the job that he did, too. So, Councilman McKendrick, thank you for you helping drive this, and I want to thank each of you guys and gals at what you do and how everything is going. We look forward to the February 28th meeting.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, Mayor has something to say as well.
Yes, sir.
Mayor, are you ready?
Right, thank you very much. Chairman Gorge, I think Councilman Kendrick just mentioned exactly what we've been looking for. The overarching plan is in place. I think we all agree with it. The values that are embossed in that plan fit the modern society of Blythewood. And I think going forward, now that you've got that big piece of work out of the way, going forward, we need to, in my opinion, take a step down, boots on the ground, if you will, and start looking at the specifics, especially the McNulty Road improvements all the way through from the Historical Society Museum to McDonald's, and then from McDonald's across the street in San Jose and the Creech Road extension. And if we don't elaborate and define what we'd like to see there, as you all know, it could go haywire, and it could be a bunch of chain restaurants, it could be a bunch of. So as you look at matching the zoning plan to the comprehensive plan, I would ask you to take a deep look at that, a slow, deliberate look to make sure what we're looking for in the heart of downtown Blythewood will fit with what everyone has said with the feedback on the when we sent out the questionnaire about what folks wanted to see. They wanted the old town feel to remain. They didn't want rapid development. They wanted roads to keep up, traffic passages to keep up with the population. So we've taken all those things to heart and we passed them to our higher level governments who fund these issues, and I think they've heard us. SCDOT is doing the Blythewood Road expansion. They're going to do the Creech Road extension, but I think we really need to take a close look at that, a deliberate look before it gets out of control. We start selling the property off and it's zoned maybe where we don't want it to be zoned, and we've lost control. So I would just ask you to take a look at that going forward. And again, I appreciate your efforts.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Could I just sound a thought that's come into my mind, and tell me if I'm wrong, but it may behoove us to set up a subcommittee with one or two members from Planning Commission, one or two members from Council, to address that very issue, where we can have discussions on a more regular basis rather than just going from month to month for updates and progress reports. I'm not suggesting we convene that now, but something to think about perhaps.
I concur. I will take that on as a project. I'll reach out to you, sir, and we'll set something up. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Well, that basically concludes the town council meeting tonight, but as Councilman Brock noted, that it's not on the agenda here for comments from the public, but we've never turned anybody away. If anybody has anything they'd like to add tonight, I welcome your comments. If you would, then come to the mic so we can be recorded.
Mayor Pro Tem, may I speak?
Yes, sir, Mr. Garrison.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pretty good-looking group that you have assembled here must be giving away something free tonight. As I currently live over in Wren Creek off Turkey Farm Road next to Westwood High School. Used to live down on Lake Ashley for 37 years and moved a couple years ago because of health issues for my wife. But as I was coming up Wilson Boulevard tonight, I was reminded how far Blythewood has come. It took me 4 minutes, almost 5 minutes, just to move from the intersection of 555 to Reimer Pond Road. I can never remember taking that long to do anything in Blythewood. It used to be you could zip through Blythewood in about 5 minutes. No longer is that case. When you look at the traffic in the morning, traffic in the afternoon, I mean, Blythewood is a busy place. It's almost a cosmopolitan rural community. But when you look at the comprehensive plan, and I was involved in comprehensive plan probably several back, sat on council to respond to this, a lot of things have to be taken into consideration. It's not only the people that live in the town, but who do you want to invite into the town? And who do you want here to support the town? When you look at the list of activities that this town has, it's significant. For a small community, I marvel at how much we've accomplished over the years. And thanks to all of you who served this community for your service. But I would like to make sure, even though I live stone's throw from the town limits, that when I come here to do business, I feel comfortable, I feel safe, and I feel this is a community that I would really love to live in someday. Well, I do live in the community per se, but I know the experience that the town is offering. And so as we grow, you grow the problems with it. Public safety, how safe am I? The fire department down here, you only have 2 men on each shift, you need 4 men. Fire standards require 4 men on each truck that rolls out of there. And you know that better than anybody. And when you look at the condition of the station down there, would you want to live there? Probably not. Quality of life for not only the people that live in the community, but the people that serve the community are also very valuable. And so I would ask that you don't necessarily just look down, but look out. When you look out, you see things that you don't see on a daily basis. So I ask your indulgence. Take this plan very seriously. Much work goes into it. You've had ULI help you. I used to belong to that organization. It's a great organization. You've got some of the best resources available to you. Take advantage of them. Make them work for you and make this town a community to be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garrison. If there are no others, I'll be looking for a motion to adjourn our meeting.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn, properly seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, council meeting is over, and we'll turn it over to Planning Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman. Are we ready? I call the Planning Commission meeting to order at 6:35 on Monday, February the 7th. Looking at the agenda. Mr. Secretary, Melissa, there you are. Can you confirm that the agenda was properly notified and posted as according to state law? Thank you. And Commissioners, you've had a chance to see the approval, see the agenda for tonight. Is there any comments, additions, or suggestions? Hearing none, can I hear a motion to approve the agenda? I have a a motion and a second. Any further comments? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. The agenda is approved. We'll do the same thing for the minutes of our meeting on January the 3rd. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes? And can I hear a motion to approve? Thank you, Ed. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the minutes of the meeting dated January the 3rd, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The minutes are approved. Thank you, gentlemen and lady. So, Mr. Williamson, next item on the agenda is a discussion item to just talk briefly about the training requirements. I think it's appropriate to do that at the beginning of the year. I think we have already touched on the training requirements for our new commissioners, but just to run through what those requirements are and what the opportunities are, could you just remind us of our obligations and what courses are available and where?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For those of you that are new, you of course need to complete the 6-hour orientation training this year, and I've sent you the link for that. For those of you just needing the 3-hour training, I can send out the YouTube link again for 2022, and because it has numerous presentations, and I can find more if you find more that you're interested in. And also, just want to mention there is the state planning organization called South Carolina American Planning Association is having its spring conference on March 11th in Camden, and there may be an opportunity for some of the planning commissioners to attend that, and just depending on budget. But if that's of interest to anyone, I can certainly look into that, and that'll give you something more than just watching a video. So we can work on that if anyone is interested in that.
I think those kind of visits outside of the town are helpful. Gives us all a wider perspective on these municipal issues and where we can learn from those and apply good lessons here in the town of Blythewood. But thank you for that, Mr. Williamson. So, is there any other questions or comments? We can move on to action item 3. The first one is a zoning amendment for 2022-01-MA to change the property from rural to commercial district. Tax map reference number R15000-05-08. I believe the applicant is here. But I can't read their name, unfortunately. It looks like Brett or... It is, well, I'm sorry, that makes perfect sense. I just can't read it. Could you come up to the microphone?
To be on this side of the microphone and table. It's an honor to get to be before you guys. We don't get to very often, and your work is so easy to overlook, and it's very detailed work, and it's makes all the difference in the world in our community, and we appreciate it. So thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
I'm Shannon Burnett. I'm an attorney here in town, and Cheryl and Carlos Bullock are my clients, along with generations of other families here. They have been here forever, and the property that we're looking at was in Cheryl's family. I looked back, and I'm sure if I'd spent some of their money and looked back farther, I could have found more, but Cheryl's mother owned this property since at least 1944, and her name was Annie Faust. And so she had 8.2 acres there on the corner of Wilson Boulevard and Farrow Road. And over the years, as she got older, she knew she wanted her daughters to each have 4.2 acres each of it, or 4.1 acres each of it. And so Miss Bullock's sister had moved her family into the bottom of the page there, the bottom 4 acres. And so there are some mobile homes and other, a couple of homes there on that property, the old home site as well. The top 4 acres, 4.1 acres, that makes up the top of the triangle is what Miss Bullock inherited. And so in looking for her and her family what was going to be the best use of this property, we talked to a lot of different people and looking at what is it that Blythewood needs, how can this family who has served Blythewood a long time and been here a long time offer something that would be of value. And that's why they're asking for this rezoning, because when we're looking at the things that we've heard that Blythewood wants or would like to grow in different ways, one of the big thing we hear over and over again is to have possibly a nicer restaurant or something that would be a good gathering place for the people here. And with the current zoning, they could not do that. It was important to them that whatever it does get sold for be something that is very protective, because they have family that still live there. There is already commercial on 3 sides of this property, and if you look at what the Planning Commission had done in the past in the zoning map, it had already been zoned for commercial, or had already been planned out to be commercial neighborhood, and as a future land use for it to be a commercial, for it to be used commercially as well. And so I don't think that this strays from what the town had said. The other thing that I heard that's going on here recently, and I'm sure you all are much more in tune with it than I am, is some of the Richland County heat going back and forth about the Killian Road area there and the problems they're having with the zoning and what people are wanting to do. And I see this as an opportunity for the town, because this property is a little bit of an island as being a part of the town of Blythewood. So with them there anchored, it would, in my opinion, encourage other property owners that are on that corridor then to say, hey, if Blythewood is going to work with us to bring in things that are better for Blythewood than just manufacturing, possibly they would consider annexing in. I think it's a good little hook in that area that could be very beneficial for our town. And so that's really what they wanted me to say to you all, is to give you assurances of their history here in this town, and they have no desire to use this in a way that would diminish the value of anyone else's property or bring any ill repute to our town or to their families, for that matter. And so we're open to suggestions and to people bringing ideas of what the best use of that property would be. But, oh my goodness, it's right there at that corner. So I think it could be a good entryway into our town from those 2 roads, and it could be well used.
Thank you, Ms. Burnett. We're not obliged to ask you any questions, but it would seem foolish not to. If we have any, are there any questions from commissioners before?
If they thought of using it, if they thought of using it for something outside of another eating establishment, to me, I'm looking at this and I go by there 2 or 3 times a week. It's a busy intersection. It's a heavily trafficked area, and to me, having another restaurant or eating facility where people are constantly going in and out could pose, some traffic concerns or issues. I think it would be, personally, I think it would probably be a great site for a more professional office type building, doctor, whatever, or even a bank. I don't know, but
Yep.
See, that's something that would attract a lot of traffic, such as an eating establishment. I just don't know.
I believe that the realtor that they've been talking with is doing studies on how would this impact the town versus how would that impact the town from a traffic standpoint versus, like with a restaurant. I've just had so many people over the years say it'd be nice to have a nicer sit-down family restaurant that's not maybe a chain. I know at one point we were in negotiations with, and I can never remember the name of this restaurant, and I like it. It's in Camden. Kindles. We had talked with them about being here in Blythewood. And I like Sam Kindles, but it's very eclectic and it's different. But it's a nice place to have a business lunch there that's not a chain restaurant. And so I've heard a lot of people, and even me as an attorney, to say, hey, why don't y'all come to Blythewood and meet me, and it not be, at a fast food place, would help me. But those kinds of restaurants aren't, like when you have a fast food, it's just this continuous line of in and out. And those sit-down restaurants are not quite as turnover. And I love the fact that there would be entrances from two different roads that I think could alleviate a bottleneck as well from a flow standpoint. But those are ideas that have all been put out there too, and the realtor Scott Davis he's in commercial real estate advisor with Caldwell Banker, and those are discussions that we've been having. I think my big point I wanted to get across was with changing the zoning, there's already commercial almost all the way around it except for her sister's property, and of course she's very protective of her sister and wanting to make sure that whatever's there is not going to be onerous to there being a family next door. And also just the ties that she has here, it matters to her. This family's had this property a long time, so I don't think that we're going to see something come in there that we would all not be very happy with. So in changing the zoning, I think it has several benefits for the town, including being a great anchor for annexation. And that you're working with people who want to work with the town to come up with good solutions for what would be there. The having it being an office park too kind of thing is definitely on the table and had been discussed about what kinds of businesses would that draw in.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
Mr. Williamson, do you want to just put your views across, since we've got the joint benefit of having council here? I mean, they're getting an early preview of this, because once we make a decision, it will come to them for considering our recommendation, whichever way it is.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of things. It is in a fairly developed area. Property to the west and to the kind of southwest is commercial, and then on the east and southeast, and then on the west side is the big Dominion Energy station there that is zoned rural, but obviously is a developed property, and that's what it's going to be. So it is a developed area. The comprehensive plan that we've been talking about, the future land use map classifies it as commercial neighborhood retail, and community commercial zoning district is listed as a compatible zoning district within that classification. So it does meet the requirements of the comprehensive plan and the future land use map. And I just want to stress that it is all commercial zoning districts are also in an architectural overlay district, so the development would go to the Board of Architectural Review for the way it's built.
And just so you know, these folks took the time to come into town and, of course, Mr. Williamson and his staff were just so accommodating and had us come in and sit down with them and talk about the uses and the different designations and what was going to work best there. So these people are being very proactive up front to be careful.
Thank you again.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Very good. Okay, commissioners, you've heard a lot of discussion and comments. Is anyone willing to make a proposal that we recommend to council this rezoning? I hear a motion to amend the zoning from rural to commercial district.
I'll make a motion that the zoning be changed from rural to community commercial district.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. And we will make that recommendation to council. Action item B is a very similar request, but in a very different location at the northern end of the town, changing the current zoning from PC to community commercial. The address is 11,000-ish Wilson Boulevard. I guess it doesn't have a formal address as yet. And do we have the applicant here to tell us a little bit about their plans? We do? Jolly good.
My name is Brett Kelly, and I'm the agent that is selling this piece for my client. The gentleman that has it on the contract is not here. He's out with COVID. So I just got a text from him when I got in, and I was just coming to see how things went. He actually put in the request. So I don't know exactly what his, he has no representation. I'm a commercial real estate agent. I'm from the area. I graduated Spring Valley, grew up around Blythewood, and both my brothers live in Blythewood, and I moved from Blythewood. I've been around here a long time. So I don't know. I'm just coming here to say hello. I don't know what his plans are. He's not here. He got with COVID, so I don't know what I can do. But I just wanted to introduce myself and I'm not really representing him per se, but I am representing my client who would like to sell this piece. And I know it. The highest and best use, in my opinion, is for commercial use. So, from where that goes, I don't know what else to do, because I don't know what the gentleman that has it on the contract wants to do with it.
Right. Well, certainly thank you for stepping forward. Mr. Williamson, can you give us a little bit more background information? We'll decide whether we can consider this request this evening or postpone it until we can learn more from the applicant.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I can give you what I know. I mean, the acreage, you got 7 acres, and they're requesting to get it rezoned to community commercial with the architectural overlay district. It's surrounded by a large parcel to the east that's zoned neighborhood commercial but has a residential use. And the property to the north and to the west are undeveloped. Comprehensive Plan's future land use map classifies the property as rural residential, and community commercial is not listed as a compatible zoning district. However, on the Comprehensive Plan's future land use map, the properties adjacent to it are classified as commercial, matching the current zoning. So, and we've written in there some flexibility in that based on the individual parcels, that just to recognize that there is some flexibility that needed to be. You can't fully match the future land use map completely, but it needs to be taken into account. So that's just some concern, just to be looked at as far as what all the surrounding property is in a very undeveloped area, and then to zone it to community commercial as a really high intensity commercial district. So.
It's a pretty sizable lot, and I think isn't it a dealership, a automotive dealership adjacent to it? Is that
no, it used to be.
Used to be.
To the south.
Right.
It's currently does not have
not operating. Right.
Does not have a use.
Mr. Chair, on the application, the proposed land use is listed as self-storage.
Right.
So
Thank you.
that is
That's the extent of our understanding, which is an acceptable use within.
Except yes, within community commercial. Correct.
Right. All right.
And the listing agent. I actually work for the owner. I will, I believe that the buyer is a novice at this point. And I'm trying to direct them without, I got to keep in mind who I represent here, and that's my client. My fiduciary responsibility is to the seller. So I'm trying to help without overstepping my boundaries. I do this a lot. We've got one going in by Blythewood High School, that sort of thing. So, so I don't know. I'm kind of between a rock and a hard place there, if that makes sense. I don't know how versed he is in this, if that makes sense. And I don't want to speak for him, but I just don't. Typically, and I've been involved in about 15 to 20 self-storage areas, and when you incorporate egress, ingress, detention, setbacks, things like that, I mean, 6 to 7 acres is a normal size for most that I've been involved in, from what I know, and several of them. Of course, for the economies of scale and the money you put in them and the infrastructure and all.
Or is there, then are you talking about motor vehicle storage as well? Things like that.
And those are things that I haven't gotten in touch with him about. I just didn't want him to not have any representation up here and let y'all know what's going on with it. I believe he was coming, so.
We're glad that he's not bringing COVID to the meeting. We hope he recovers soon enough. I really feel that although this question here is purely for zoning, the commission as a whole always welcomes input from the applicant so that we have a clear understanding of the planned use. And in the light of him not being here this evening and the questions that have been raised, I think my recommendation is that we would table this request until such time as he's able to join us, which will be a month from today, more or less. Is that opinion?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I concur with you as well. Based on what the applicant wants to provide to the town, I believe it's something good that we could definitely utilize and leverage. However, even just based on us discussing the comprehensive plan, I believe we have to keep responsible growth at the forefront, and part of that responsible growth requires the commission to do our due diligence. And based on this discussion, so I believe you provided a lot of value to everyone in this room as far as what the way ahead is for your client. But I think we require a little bit of additional dialogue to come to a decision that is viable for us moving forward to push this forward to the council. So I would agree with you. I believe it's a good idea, but I believe we need a little bit more dialogue to come to a finite decision.
And Mr. Chair, I also agree with you at this time, but in consideration of the growth that we have discussed in the town of Blythewood and the new development that's taking place, this could potentially provide an opportunity for those new families here to utilize storage and keep those monies within the town, and the new families coming to the larger developments, also in consideration of what we have and potentially what we could have. It would be great to discuss that with the applicant, but let's consider the growth that we have already discussed and the growth that is to come in consideration of that comprehensive plan with this.
Thank you all for those comments. I think they're all extremely valid. I think we're, sort of, right around the balance here.
And I would be, I'd love to tell you more on what my opinion is, or but like I said, I don't want to speak for the buyer. But I could give you a wealth of information. But like I said, he's not here. He's not able to be here. I just felt like I needed to get up and let y'all know what was going on.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I think from the formalities, we'll table. Go ahead. Yep. If it's relevant to this particular item.
Well, not my entire life, but I moved back about a year ago. Grew up right here on Sandfield Road, and we actually purchased, my wife and I, the 6 acres that are immediately to the east of this property. And hearing about this and seeing this raises some interesting questions in my mind. So looking at this map and looking at what's around it, I would implore the Planning Commission and everybody else to take into consideration the existing rural nature of that particular part of Blythewood. We talk about building new homes, new subdivisions, and new neighborhoods, needing space for storage, and I completely agree. My thought when hearing that would say, okay, well, let's move those a little bit closer to those developed areas, and let's look at retaining the rural charm we have, and look at bringing in people such as myself, not to say I'm the greatest guy in the world, but bringing in people who are going to build beautiful homes in the community, make good use of the space, and I honestly can't think of anything more of the antithesis of what Blythewood represents in terms of development than a possible storage unit or use of space such as that. So not to say that there's not an appropriate place to put that, and it's not an appropriate thing to have in a community, because I certainly think with growth, people need place to put things. I certainly used one on Community Road when we were building our house. I just think it needs to be looked at very closely in terms of where those are put and what the effects are to the immediate families and developments around it.
Sir, could you let me have your name and address, please?
Sure. It's Robert McLean, McLean, and my address is 11042 Wilson. So it's not drawn on the map yet, but it's the upper portion of that property immediately to the east of it, and it's 6 acres encompassing the majority of that pond property on the right-hand side of the map on the lower part.
Thank you, Mr. McLean.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, Commissioners, you've heard lots of comments on this application. Do I hear a motion to table the request until we have the possibility of the applicant coming here in person?
I motion to table the request.
So the motion has been heard and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor to table the application, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The application is tabled until our next meeting. Thank you. Right. Oh, any other open citizens' comments? Hearing none. Oh, we have one. Aha.
I'd just like to address a couple of, I guess, concerns or perhaps some insights on what the comprehensive plan. Comp plan, and I do want to commend you all for putting the effort and the work in for the comp plan. Just want to know what the considering factors were. Did they consider, as he talked about, like when Mr. Garrison talked about he's in Ring Creek, he's not even in the town. So the comp plan ought to consider the whole 290, the whole zip code. And did it do that? And in addition to that, they look at outside factors in terms of what future pressure is going to put on the town. So I think the comp plan ought to at least take in consideration proper what's now and the entire zip code. And in doing that, I think you have a more complete comprehensive plan, at least factors to consider and determine what direction or what the priorities ought to be. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. All right. Okay, I think that concludes our business for this evening, so I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. Second. Motion, and we have a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Comment and say, say no more. I'm not going to say no more. And he broke it down.
Yeah.
Hi. Oh, cool.